This scene is special. It marks the final stage of Walter White's downfall and the tragic yet inevitable end of Mike Ehrmantraut. That is why today I want to dive deep into what makes this scene so powerful. Simply put, the entire point of this scene is how a meeting that should have been a simple exchange, money for silence, spirals into a senseless murder born of a bruised ego. To truly appreciate this scene, we have to remember what led up to it. The relationship between Walt and Mike has always been tense. Mike is the old guard, Gus Fring's man, a pragmatist. Walt is the upstart, the genius chemist with an inflated ego. After Gus's death, Walt fancied himself the boss, but Mike never fully recognized his authority. Their conflict was escalating.
Our trouble.
Arguments about methods, about money for Mike's guys, about risks. Walt always felt disrespected by Mike, while Mike despised Walt's impulsiveness and self-righteousness. So, their meeting by the river is the culmination of a long history of mutual irritation and mistrust. But to understand why Walt pulls the trigger at this exact moment, it is absolutely vital to break down the scene that opens this very same episode. It is a mirror reflection of the finale, the missing piece of the puzzle without which the picture is incomplete. I'm talking about the meeting in the desert where the legendary phrase, "Say my name," is born. At the beginning of the episode, we see Walter at the absolute peak of his narcissism. He is meeting with Declan, a competitor from Phoenix. Pay attention to the power dynamic.
Methylamine isn't coming.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the man who's keeping it.
Walt isn't just a chemist here. He positions himself as an emperor. He turns down millions of dollars for a methylamine buyout because he doesn't want money. He wants an empire.
So, it's grade school T-ball versus the New York Yankees.
The desert scene is staged to visually aggrandize Walt. The camera looks up at him from a low angle, making his figure monumental against the endless sky. He is in complete control of the situation. He humiliates Declan, forcing him to acknowledge his superiority out loud. Declan says,
Heisenberg.
And Walt, with terrifying calm, replies,
You're goddamn right.
In that moment, Walt gets what he craved more than anything else in the world. Absolute recognition. His ego swells to the size of that very tanker truck full of methylamine. He believes in his own invulnerability. He convinces himself that he can bend reality to his will through sheer force of personality and reputation alone. But, and this is critically important, there is a third wheel in this scene, Mike. While Walt is drunk on his triumph over Declan,
Where's the tank, Mike?
Mike doesn't know where it is. Only I do. You're dealing with me now, not him.
the camera periodically cuts to Mike's reaction. And what do we see? Awe? Fear? No. We see fatigue and eye rolling. For Mike Ehrmantraut, a man who has been through hell and back, this performance by Walt is just a clown show. Mike doesn't see Heisenberg, he sees the same old high school chemistry teacher holding a bomb. And this is where the foundation for the tragedy at the river is laid. Walt walks out of that desert drunk on power. He has just verbally destroyed a serious gangster. He feels like a god. So when, at the end of the episode, by that river, Mike, the only person whose opinion subconsciously matters to Walt, not only refuses to kiss the ring, but throws the harsh truth in his face.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up.
The cognitive dissonance in Walt's head becomes unbearable. The contrast between the desert scene and the river scene is colossal. In the desert, Walt is a king demanding his name be spoken with reverence. By the river, he is a petulant child, being told he ruined everything. If not for that victory in the desert, perhaps Walt would have swallowed the insult at the river. But after Say My Name, his pride is in a hypertrophied state. He cannot let Mike walk away having the last word, because it shatters the illusion of greatness Walt so carefully constructed at the start of the episode. Analyzing these two scenes in tandem, we realize Mike wasn't killed by a bullet. He was killed by the shadow of Heisenberg, which had become too massive to share reality with anyone who knew Walter White's true value. Now let's analyze this scene more closely. Walter meets Mike to hand over his go bag. It starts with Walt driving up to a secluded spot by the river where Mike is waiting. The setting is deliberately chosen to be uninhabited, almost pastoral, creating a sharp contrast with the looming tension. A wide establishing shot emphasizes their isolation from the world. Before handing over the bag, Walt demands the names of the 9 men from Mike's crew. the ones who can link them to Fring's empire.
The names of your 9 men. Why?
Here we see the classic Walter of the later seasons. His need for control and information is masked as concern for himself and Jesse.
It affects me. It affects Jesse, too, and we deserve to know.
But in reality, it is a manifestation of his bloated ego and paranoia. He can no longer tolerate loose ends or potential threats. Mike, pragmatic as always and tired of Walt's antics, rejects his demand.
The only thing left to do now is leave town, you understand?
The dialogue highlights the chasm between them. Mike sees only the necessity to disappear and cover tracks. Whalt, intoxicated by his power, cannot simply walk away. He is tethered to his empire, to his family.
Wow. Yeah, I just can't up and leave like you, Mike. I've got people who depend on me.
And most importantly, to his ego.
You and your pride and your ego.
In this moment, Walt tries to justify his inability to back down by invoking his family, but Mike sees right through him. The camera focuses on their faces, intensifying the confrontation. Walt insists, stepping closer, invading Mike's personal space, trying to assert dominance. When Mike hands over the bag, an explosion of emotion occurs.
All of this, falling apart like this, is on you. Wow.
He doesn't just refuse, he pronounces a guilty verdict on Walter, exposing the very core of his downfall.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a...
Walt attempts to shift the blame using twisted logic.
Wow! You screw up, get yourself followed by the DEA, and now suddenly, this is all my fault.
But Mike cuts him off.
We had Fring. We had a lab. We had everything we needed. It all ran like clockwork.
Pay attention to Jonathan Banks' acting in this moment. His face, usually impenetrable or expressing weary disdain, flushes with blood. His eyes flash with the righteous anger of a man who sees the whole picture and can no longer stay silent. Banks fills the words with the full weight of his character's experience and disappointment. His gestures are minimal but incredibly expressive. Leaning slightly forward, he literally bears down on Walt with the weight of his truth.
You could have shut your mouth, cooked, and made as much money as you ever needed.
Banks shows us a man who tried to remain a professional to the very end, but who was finally pushed too far. He isn't just playing anger. He is playing anger multiplied by the bitter understanding that everything could have been different if not for the monstrous ego of the man standing opposite him.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up.
This monologue is the culmination of their relationship and the central theme of the final seasons. Banks delivers it with such pragmatic fury that you believe every word. The camera holds Mike in a close-up, and then it cuts to Walt, whose face contorts with anger and wounded pride. Look at Bryan Cranston's acting here. He brilliantly portrays the rage boiling up inside Walt. It's not a scream, not hysteria. It's tight lips and a cold fire in the eyes. He shows a man whose inflated ego has received a deadly insult. The moment that follows is pure impulse, an almost animalistic reaction to pain, and Cranston conveys this with a split-second change in expression. Mike hit the sorest spot. He didn't just blame Walt for the collapse of their operation. He pointed out his main vice, his exorbitant ego.
You just had to be the man. If you'd done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now.
Having said his piece, Mike turns and walks to his car. He has made his choice. He tries to walk away from this chaos, but Walt cannot allow it, not after such humiliation. The camera movement follows Mike, creating a sense of closure, but then the focus snaps back to Walt, seething with rage. At this moment, there is a sharp shift in pacing. The slow buildup of tension is replaced by fast, sharp actions. Mike's car crashes into the bank. The scene slows down again. They sit by the river against the backdrop of the sunset. The silence is broken only by the sounds of nature and Mike's heavy breathing. And then realization overtakes Walt, terrifying in its banality. This revelation underscores the utter meaninglessness of the murder.
Just realize that Lydia has the names I can get.
It wasn't dictated by necessity, strategy, or even paranoia. It was a pure act of a bruised ego. Walt killed Mike simply because he told him the truth to his face and dared to point out his flaws.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Mike, bleeding out, looks at the river and the setting sun. His last words are neither a curse nor a plea, but a simple, weary demand.
Shut the fuck up. Let me die in peace.
Walter is left alone on the bank, watching the life fade from the man he just killed out of pride. The camera zooms out, showing his tiny figure against the vast landscape and the setting sun, a symbol not only of Mike's end, but of Walter's final descent into darkness. It is a scene of absolute tragedy, caused not by external circumstances, but by the protagonist's inner demons. One cannot fail to note the signature style of the Breaking Bad creators. First, the use of landscape, the deserted, sun-scorched landscapes of New Mexico. Second, the attention to detail and the symbolism of objects, the bag, the gun, even the dust on the cars. Everything works for the overall picture. Nothing in the frame is superfluous. Third, visual storytelling. Often, long shots without words say more than any dialogue. Close-ups of faces conveying the slightest nuances of emotion. Unusual angles. Gilligan and his team are masters of telling a story through imagery. Fourth, the blending of genres and tones. A tense thriller, almost a western, suddenly shifts into an existential drama, and Walt's moment of realization even contains an element of black humor.
I realize that Lydia has the names I can get from her.
So absurd is it in its tragedy. And, of course, the moral ambiguity. Even killing Mike, Walt at some point evokes not only disgust, but perhaps a fraction of strange sympathy. This style, the slow build-up, the explosion of violence, the focus on character psychology, the visual symbolism, makes Breaking Bad and this scene in particular such an unforgettable spectacle.
I'm sorry, Mike. This whole thing could have been avoided.